Empathy is the only path. We want to live in a world of equity, and there's only one way to get there. It's empathy. We look around and, of course, we see a society void of empathy. Whether it be war or exploitation, late-stage capitalism, patriarchy, militant religion, I could go on, famine, people without homes. The craziest part about all of this is that we have not only the information, but also the technology that allows us to solve all of these issues. And the reason why they're not solved is actually not the reason that we might think. I have spent a long time giving my power away to people in positions of power. The only reason why they're in those positions is because they assume their own power first, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing to do because each of us are powerful in our own right. We are all responsible for our own power. The issue comes when you exercise your power against somebody else in a way that lacks empathy. But we look around at the warmongers and the billionaires, etc., and we feel like it's up to them to stop the bad things that they're doing so that the world can be at peace. I don't know how reliable that hope is. I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. I tend to give people a lot of grace because there have been many times in my life where I have not been given grace. And I'm the kind of person that is always thinking about being good. I want to be good. I want to do the right thing. I act in empathy towards other people. Not perfectly, but that is my intention. And so it's extremely frustrating when I go about the world that way and then I am treated with a lack of empathy. And the thing is, I have, at least to my knowledge, never personally interacted with a billionaire or a high-level politician. But who I have interacted with in my daily life are people that aren't billionaires and politicians at a high level. And so whenever I feel discouraged about the state of the world, the state of our society, my first thought is to go to the people that are doing all of these big, bad things. Like creating a system where people are dependent on things like synthetic drugs and war and food that has zero nutritional value and jobs that suck the soul out of us to profit off of us and keep us contained. But I think the most disheartening thing is that these people that are pulling the strings, they can't force us to act towards each other in that way. They can only treat us that way. And so when I say that empathy is the only path, I don't know how worth it is for me to spend my entire life trying to convince these almost objectively evil people to stop being that way. Now, I do have empathy for them, as crazy as that sounds, because clearly people like the one who's running the country I live in right now, which is the United States, they're clearly hurt. They're clearly traumatized, just like the rest of us. However, they choose to allow that to degrade their sense of empathy, which is exactly why we have to choose differently. A better world is possible. A healed society is possible. Utopia is possible. But we cannot get there without empathy. And as a first step, we can't get there unless we believe it's possible. Everything that exists in our physical reality was once just formless energy. For example, the phone that you're holding, or the TV that you're watching this on, or the car speakers that you're listening to this on, they were an idea before they were a physical object. And so, energy precedes matter. And whatever we believe in can ultimately come true. Now, there's some caveats to that, and I will, over many videos, dive deeper and deeper into the mechanics of all of that and how I believe it all works and how we can use these patterns to work together to create this better world. But my point is that if we continue to fall for the narrative that the end of the world is coming, that everything's falling apart, that we're fucked, then we probably will be. And we see this push and pull happening where there are people, there are organizations, there are collectives, there are artists that are pushing super hard to create a better world. And they believe in it. And the world that is around them, their world, is better than people who don't believe that it's possible. I'm personally tired of waiting around for the evil, warmongering people that run the world to change. Do I believe that it's possible? Yeah, I do. I actually do. I believe that life presents us opportunities at every turn to choose differently. And it's rarely, if ever, I'm going to be a good person now. It's a long journey of deconstruction and somatic healing and rewiring your brain, shadow work. But change is possible for everybody. I truly believe that. But how likely is it, right, that the Hitler types are going to change? I don't know. We haven't seen much evidence of that. But we change. And we can treat each other better. Whether it's in the drive-thru or at the grocery store or on the road or in passing at the bar or any number of interactions that you could have with a fellow human being, we can choose to humanize each other. We can choose to look past the stereotypes that we have been conditioned to allow to separate us. And it's not easy, especially because there are certain people that I can look at. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, so it's the heart of the South. I don't know if you can tell this far into the video, but I don't align myself with a lot of the conservative, right-leaning ideas in American politics. That's how I was raised, but I have chosen differently. I have chosen to rewire that conditioning. My point is, I can pick out certain people that fit a certain archetype, and I have a pretty good guess of what they believe, and often I can even feel their energy. But even people that disagree with me politically, even people that believe certain things that I think are horrifying, they're human. They're confused. They're hurt. They've been betrayed. They've been abandoned. Just like all of us have at different points in our lives. I'm sick of the division. We are never going to win this battle against the actually super powerful evil people that are withholding abundance from everybody. Because the thing about abundance is that it's natural. A fruit tree doesn't just, an apple tree doesn't just generate one apple and go, all right, good luck, fight for it. If an apple tree is healthy, it's producing as many apples as it possibly can. It's only when someone collects all of the apples, claims ownership of the tree, and tells you that you have to give them something for the apples that were freely there prior. That's scarcity, and it's manufactured. These people are withholding abundance from us. And as long as we believe that scarcity is the default instead of abundance, then that will be true. As long as we believe that there is no way that we can live in a society without grueling, boring, repetitive work that sucks the soul out of us and that doesn't actually produce anything that is helpful or substantial or fulfilling, then we will continue to exist in that society, in that reality. This isn't about saying, this isn't about like saying, oh, I believe that the world is abundant, and then magically you poof into another timeline. There's this idea in a lot of spiritual corners of the internet, a lot of new age spiritual corners. And I think that it's well intended, but it's this concept of like new timelines. Like you can shift to a new timeline. And I think it gets fuzzy because I have experienced kind of a personal timeline shift when I see the different ways that my life could have gone if I had chosen differently. And I'm really grateful for this timeline that I have worked so hard to shift into. However, we are all in a shared timeline. We all exist on Earth, which is one thing in one place at one time. We are all existing in the present together. This is a shared reality, and we co-create it. And so it is extremely dangerous to take the route of isolation or indifference, just as it's extremely dangerous to impose yourself on other people's timelines in a way that they don't consent to, which it requires empathy to give a shit about something like consent. So the whole point of this channel, CLUB.AURA, is hope. I have personally been through many things in my life that I could have allowed to take my hope away from me. And even when it's been hard and even when hope has been very thin, I have refused to allow anything to take my hope away. And my life is so much more beautiful and fulfilling and exciting than it ever has been. And it is a night and day difference compared to my upbringing. That is because I believe I have refused to let go of hope. We have to be intentional about what we give our attention to. Because where your attention goes, energy flows, and energy precedes matter. You might not believe in your personal ability to create things, to co-create reality. But whether you believe you can do it or not, you're constantly affecting people around you and timelines and all sorts of things. We all have an impact, especially on each other, which is why empathy is the only path. We have to accept that we are here together, that we're in this together, and that although in our own individuality, we are beautiful and unique and authentic, we are also all one. We are all one with the earth. And the further and further away that we get from that, from our nature, from our rhythm, from our flow, from our origin, the further we descend into a hell of our own creation. I refuse to give up on the idea that earth is heaven and that we can create that heaven right now, right here. Because nothing else in my 10 years of exploring philosophy and psychology and religion, nothing else makes sense. I want to live in heaven now. The earth is beautiful. It is a perfect seed planted in perfect soil. And I'd like to believe that you are too. That we all are. That we're here right now together with the capability to create anything we want, but we need each other to do it. So if you're interested in creating a world that is full of empathy and authenticity and presence, then you're in the right place. Speaking of authenticity and presence, you can click right up here or here to watch my video about authenticity. Thanks for being here, and I'm excited for the journey ahead. Peace and love.